If you do an image search for quantum mechanics, you will find a lot of equations that contain things which look like this, or maybe that. These things are what is called the Bra-Ket notation. What does this mean? How do you calculate with it? And is quantum mechanics really as difficult as they say? This is what we will talk about today. I know that quantum mechanics is supposedly impossible to understand, but trust me when I say the difficulty is not in the mathematics. The mathematics of quantum mechanics looks more intimidating than it really is. To see how it works, let us have a look at how physicists write wave functions. The wave function, to remind you, is what we use in quantum mechanics to describe everything. There's a wave function for electrons, a wave function for atoms, a wave function for Schrödinger's cat, and so on. The wave function is a vector, just like the ones we learned about in school. In the three-dimensional space, you can think of a vector as an arrow pointing from the origin of the coordinate system to any point. You can choose a particularly convenient basis in that space. Typically, these are three orthogonal vectors, each with a length of 1. These basis vectors can be written as columns of numbers, which each have one entry that equals 1 and all other entries equal to 0. You can then write an arbitrary vector as a sum of those basis vectors with coefficients in front of them, say 2, 3, 0. These coefficients are just numbers and you can collect them in one column. So far, so good. Now, the wave function in quantum mechanics is a vector just like that, except it's not a vector in the space we see around us, but a vector in an abstract mathematical thing called a Hilbert space. One of the most important differences between the wave function and vectors that describe directions in space is that the coefficients in quantum mechanics are not real numbers, but they are complex numbers, so they in general have a non-zero imaginary part. These complex numbers can be conjugated, which is usually denoted with a star superscript and just means you change the sign of the imaginary part. So the complex numbers make quantum mechanics different from your school math. But the biggest difference is really just the notation. In quantum mechanics, we do not write vectors with arrows. Instead, we write them with these funny brackets. Why? Well, for one, because it's convention, but it's also a convenient way to keep track of whether a vector is a row or a column vector. The ones we talked about so far are column vectors. If you have a row vector instead, you draw the bracket on the other side. You have to watch out here because in quantum mechanics, if you convert a row vector to a column vector, you also have to take the complex conjugate of the coefficients. This notation was the idea of Paul Dirac and is called the Bra-Ket notation. The left side, the row vector, is the bra, and the right side, the column vector, is the ket. You can use this notation, for example, to write a scalar product conveniently as a Bra-Ket. The scalar product between two vectors is the sum over the products of the coefficients. Again, don't forget that the bra vector has complex conjugates on the coefficients. Now, in quantum mechanics, all the vectors describe probabilities, and usually you choose the basis in your space so that the basis vectors correspond to possible measurement outcomes. The probability of a particular measurement outcome is then the absolute square of the scalar product with the basis vector that corresponds to the outcome. Since the basis vectors are those which have only 0 entries, except for one entry which is equal to 1, the scalar product of a wave function with a basis vector is just the coefficient that corresponds to the one non-zero entry. And the probability is then the absolute square of that coefficient. This prescription for obtaining probabilities from the wave function is known as Born's rule, named after Max Born. And we know that the probability to get any measurement outcome is equal to 1, which means that the sum over the squared scalar products with all basis vectors has to be 1. But this is just the length of the vector, so all wave functions have length 1. The scalar product of the wave function with a basis vector is also sometimes called a projection on that basis vector. It is called a projection because it's the length you get if you project the full wave function on the direction that corresponds to the basis vector. Think of it as the vector casting a shadow. You could say in quantum mechanics we only ever observe shadows of the wave function. The whole issue with the measurement in quantum mechanics is now that once you do a measurement and you have projected the wave function onto one of the basis vectors, then its length will no longer be equal to 1, because the probability of getting this particular measurement outcome may have been smaller than 1. But once you have measured the state, it is with probability 1 in one of the basis states. So then you have to choose the measurement outcome that you actually found and stretch the length of the vector back to 1. This is what is called the measurement update. Another thing you can do with these vectors is to multiply one with itself the other way around. So that would be a ket bra. What you get then is not a single number, as you would get with the scalar product, but a matrix, each element of which is a product of coefficients of the vectors. In quantum mechanics, this thing is called the density matrix, and you need it to understand decoherence. We will talk about this some other time, so keep the density matrix in mind. Having said that, as much as I love doing these videos, if you really want to understand quantum mechanics, you have to do some mathematical exercises on your own. A great place to do this is Brilliant, who have been sponsoring this video. Brilliant offers courses with exercise sets on a large variety of topics in science and mathematics. It's exactly what you need to move from passively watching videos to actively dealing with the subject. The courses on Brilliant that will give you the required background for this video are those on linear algebra and its applications. What is a vector? What is a matrix? What is an eigenvalue? What is a linear transformation? That's the key to understanding quantum mechanics. To support this channel and learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/Sabine, that's Sabine, and sign up for free. The first 200 people who go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription. You may think I made it look too easy, but it's true. Quantum mechanics is pretty much just linear algebra. What makes it difficult is not the mathematics. What makes it difficult is how to interpret the mathematics. The trouble is, you cannot directly observe the wave function. But you cannot just get rid of it either. You need it to calculate probabilities. But the measurement update has to be done instantaneously, and therefore it does not seem to be a physical process. So is the wave function real or is it not? Physicists have debated this back and forth for more than 100 years. Thanks for watching. See you next week.